Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I want to talk about my teen years. So I was in and out of elementary before we go into the 10, yeah, I think elementary, I remember just being in and out of elementary. I had to go to, I always felt like the odd child, you know what I mean? And you'll see why later. But always just different, unique, you know what I mean? I had, what's it called? I think I was just really quiet, you know what I mean, as a child. But yeah, I would go to different elementary schools. Let's see, which one did I go to? When I lived with my dad, and then I lived with my mom. And so, I was in like special art classes. Like I remember just being very artistic as a child. I won in one of my elementary schools I went to, one of the biggest rewards of the whole school, and I went up to like 8th grade, I think, or 9th grade. Yeah, I went from elementary to all the way to 8th grade. Wait, is it 8th grade or 6th grade? Something like that. But I won the most colorful, because they had an art contest and stuff like that. And I was how old was I when I did that? I was not with, let's see, how old was I? I think I was 4 years old, 5 years old? But anyways, just didn't feel I fit in, you know? And so going on to my teen years, I would go with my dad and my mom. So I'd go in and out of the junior high school, you know what I mean? They used to call me Green Giant because I was really tall. I was like the tallest kid in the junior high. And I had a green bike. And so I remember, in sparkles, because I loved sparkles, you know what I mean? But just always felt different. I wasn't, you know what I mean? Didn't feel I fit in and stuff like that. And so, I feel I was like a tease, you know what I mean? And so, I was a nerd, I guess you could say. And just going in and out with my parents, going back and forth with my parents. My dad did the best he could, you know, but when he would go wash clothes, my clothes would be all pink instead of white. Man, I just remember I was just a child, you know, or a young adult. And, I didn't have like the cool clothes. I didn't have, you know what I mean? And so I remember wearing, Mickey Mouse shirts, and, my dad washed the clothes and they would be all pink, you know what I mean? Or I would have high waters. Remember high waters? High waters. We used to call them high waters. Anyways, and so he did what he could, you know, but it was just me, my dad, and my two brothers, you know what I mean? And my mom at the time, you know, where was she at? I don't think she had moved yet to California. But anyways, and so then going into, then I went into, then I got through, what was that school? Yeah, then I got through elementary, or up till 8th grade. And then, then I lived with my mom, and I went back and forth in the high school in California, and then with my mom I was in another. How old was I? Oh yeah, that was later. Yeah. So I went to the high school when I was with my dad for a little bit, and I didn't feel like I fit in. I was like bullied and just, you know what I mean? Like, and again, different, you know what I mean? And so I was just like, you know, in and out and back and forth with my parents, and just never built good, you know, friendships, or, you know what I mean? Like, and so so that's when I left. After that, I left with my mom to live with my mom. Then I tried going to high school over there with my mom. We moved a lot. And so one of the places I lived was Salinas, California. And I remember going over there, and I was just a teenager, and I was like, I would get in fights. I just didn't fit in, you know what I mean? And you would say like just things you go through when you're, you know, I went through when I was a teenager, and just because of moving back and forth, I never got to build like, you know, friendships and stuff like that. And so I just always, you know, they had a class in front, you know what I mean? Like, and I would go there, and I would have like all that they call them trouble kids, you know what I mean? And so, anyways, I don't know. I just didn't like, you know what I mean? Like school. And at that time, you know what I mean? Like I was just going through a lot, you know, in childhood, and going back and forth with my parents, and just, you know, watching my mom when she wasn't healed, you know, and then she, you know, in relationships, and just, yeah. And then I started like, just, you know, when I was 15, when I was 15, I went with my mom at the time's boyfriend and her niece, and I went with her, and, you know, it was all, you know, just innocent and stuff like that. And so I went with her she was going somewhere, and I was like, oh, I want to go, you know, and at the time, and so we went to this place, and at that time, I end up hanging out with her, and I end up being, you know, and this is what we call like frenemies, you know what I mean? This person, I didn't know that, you know what I mean? I was so pure and young, and just like, and so anyways, I went with her, and she allowed them, like, they give me a glass of water and drugged me. And so, and she allowed this, you know? And so, anyways, I guess there was, just some jealousy, you know what I mean? Like, I look back and stuff like that. And I guess the guy at the time when we went there was interested in me. I was just really young, you know what I mean? I was 15, you know? And so, anyways, I went with her, and she allowed them, they gave me some water and drugged me, and this guy abused me, you know? And so I woke up really scared, and, so, that was my first real trauma. And after that, going forward, you know, I started being promiscuous, and just felt so, like, I remember just crying to myself. I didn't tell my mom, didn't tell nobody. I just held that in, and the next morning took me back, and I never hung out with that girl again. And so after that, though, I started partying. I started hanging out. Just started hanging out with, back then I called cholos, gangster. Just, you know, just very, not good crowds, you know what I mean? And so, and I just started not caring. I you know, it was I felt like, trauma, you know? And so, anyways, I just started being promiscuous, and I just, you know, didn't tell nobody. I held that in, you know? And to this day, I think I told 1 or 2 people, you know? And, I still didn't tell my mom even before she died, you know? And, it's crazy, you know? I don't know. I was just like scared, ashamed, you know what I mean? Like, and so, And so that went on until, let's see here, 15. Yeah, and that's when I got my job at 16. I was still, working. Yeah, so I got my first 2 jobs at 16. Then I started helping my mom pay bills, but I was still partying, and drinking, and teenagers do. We would go on missions back in the day. I miss them. Oh my God, I just thought about Brandy. Hi, Brandy, if you get this, okay, I haven't seen her for so long. One of them was in Lompoc, Brandy. We used to go on missions, you guys, and we used to go on missions for like weed. And back in the day, we're young, so we would like have a little money, whatever, and we would ask people at the liquor store, can you buy us a 40? Or we would go on a mission to find like a nickel or a dime. Back then that's what they called them, And and so yeah, we would just go, and a little group of friends that back then, I miss her. Huh? That's crazy, huh? But anyways, and just do things, I hung out with them and stuff like that. I still remember her, yeah. Yeah, she was one of the good ones. I see her, my other friend in California, Evelyn, and we'll talk about that later. But anyways, and so, but yeah, and so let's see, so Lompoc, and then Salinas is different. So, man, I moved around a lot. I'm trying to think of, when did I move to Lompoc? Yeah, so that was Salinas first, and then was my friend Brandy, and was it first Brandy? No, it was first Brandy, and then Salinas, California. But anyway, so that was my teen years and stuff like that, and just going on missions, and I'll check in with my mom here and there. Like, she would have, like, she would do what she would do, you know what I mean? Like, your curfew's this time, and there's sometimes that we were, like, my friend Brandy, we would go, and one time they snuck into a pool, right? And I guess their parents said come back at this certain curfew time, right? And we went back. So my mom ended up going to her house and with a mom, and they called the cops. And then they end up going to waiting at the door when we got back, and they're just sitting there with their arms like this, and then they're just tapping their feet. You know what I mean? Like, all mad, ready to go off. And so, No. The cops went looking and found us in a private pool, because we jumped the fence, and we went to a private pool, and yeah, and then they brought us back, and you're grounded, and you know what I mean, like, and so we went back to my house, and good old days back in the day when I was a teenager. We ate top ramen and bread and butter. I remember those. We always had that, you know what I mean, like. Didn't have much, you know what I mean? So we had like top ramen and bread and butter. I remember every time I would come home from high school and stuff like that. But just never, I just always hung out, like what we call back in the day, you know what I mean? We call it highballs, you know what I mean? And so just, just our mind was really young at that time, and what I knew at the time is what I knew, and so just but yeah, never really liked high school, never fitted in and stuff like that. So then when I was 16, that's when I started helping my mother. I started helping her with my brothers and sisters more. And that's when I got my first 2 jobs, started working a lot, paying half the bills. And, we had our fights and arguments, and, then we had our good moments, you know what I mean? Like, and so, but I remember, even when my mom, she always said, you know, I'd rather you be in here, you know, safe than you going partying out there or doing anything, you know what I mean? Like, so if you wanted to smoke a joint or have a drink, I'd rather you do it with me than go out there, you know? And so, anyway, so that, you know, that's what happened, you know what I mean? Like, and so I think because of that, you know, even when I was a little younger, because of that, I think that was when, I didn't, really, you know, had a lot more interest, you know what I mean? Like into that. And I think it's because she was open about that, you know? And so, anyways, but I remember the first time, you guys, I know he's but I remember, the first time I smoked with my teenage friends, and I think this is like our first time smoking weed. And, anyways, and so we, took a Bible, that's all we had at the time, and ripped it out and rolled a joint, okay? And, oh my God, and smoked it. And so we're sitting in a circle, and then my mom comes in at that time, and she's like, my friends are like, oh my God, hide it, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm sitting there laughing, and so my mom comes in, and she's like, what are you doing? And we're like, smoking a joint. And so, and then my mom's like, hey, let me have a hit. And my friends were like, what? You know what I mean? Like, and then she had a big old talk with all of us, you know what I mean? Like, and saying, yeah, I'd rather you guys be safe here and me seeing you than out there. And you know what I mean? And so, I don't know, for me, it explained, I think it helped me a lot going in my later years because I didn't really want it anymore, you know what I mean? And so, anyways, and so to this day, me and God joke about that all the time. And, anyways, and so, oh, the things you do when you're teenagers, you know? Well, my generational curse breaker, okay? And so, yeah, and so, let's see here, yeah, I worked, helped my mom with the kids, I still went out, you know what I mean? Like, I did my little thing, you know? I know I worked a lot, though, you know, and didn't really, after 16, I think, was it 16? No. Yeah, just did my thing, worked, you know what I mean? Like, and, yeah, I always had arguments with my mom and, you know, just would walk out, slam the door, you know what I mean? Like fights, you know? And so, as a teenager, and, I just felt at a young age I had to do a lot, you know, and help her out a lot. And, yeah. And so, then, yeah, and so around 17, that's when we ended up moving back to, was I 17? So, sorry, before 17, that's when the first time I got baptized, okay? That's the first time when I was 15. It was right after the situation with the, when I got abused, and sexually abused, and I went to this church, and my mom the lady asked if you want to get baptized, and I said, what does it mean? And they explained it to me. And so so the lady's like, you know, explaining to me all that, and I said, can she change it? You know what I mean? Like, and I already been through a lot, you know, by then. And so I was like, and can he change and transform? I forgot exactly word for word what I said, but, and she said, yeah, he could do anything, you know? He's Jesus, you know? And so I got baptized in front of a glass window. I wish I could find that. And, yeah, in front of people, I had a gown on and everything. And that was the first time, okay, that I got baptized and in the Spirit. So anyways, going forward, I even tried to I think I got emancipated when I was 17. Yep, I did. At a very young age, you know what I mean? Living on my own. I was like, I want to live my own. Like, I was just very, like, I knew how to take care of myself, but like, I wasn't like, still had trauma, you know what I mean? And so, anyways, and so eventually I told my mom, you know, and she had my kid, my brothers and sisters, and yeah, she had my brothers and sisters, and then eventually, you know, we were living back to where my mom's sister lived. And at that time, I think I was 17, and I was like, I'm done. And I think we ended up staying, you know, ended up staying in shelter, I mean, in a hotel. And I remember that day, and I was saying, I was arguing with my mom, and I was like, I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to help you. And so I ended up going with my, sorry. I ended up going with my aunt, and I said, bye, I'm gone, you know? And so I'm going to talk about more how to heal a lot from this. But so I left her with my aunt, and I left her and I went with my aunt, and left her alone with the kids, and, you know, and by herself. And so she ended up taking care of the kids, and she ended up losing them, and because she was by herself and she was alone. And I already went through this process of healing from this, and it's still like, but I did that in 2010. You know, it's been a long time since I really talked about, you know? And so but she ended up, yeah, they ended up going to foster care, my little brothers and sisters, or at the time, you know. And so she went to there, and she did, and that was when she was living there, my my stepdad, you know, he was in and out, you know what I mean? Like, and again, had NPD, what we call, I know now I look back, in NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, but he was in and out, you know what I mean? After she moved to California, that was like just in and out a relationship, you know? And yeah, again, I would just watch her, a teenager, you know, be used, and she would just be working hard, and he would come and steal from her, and just, she was mentally, you know, and mentally abused, physically, you know, stolen from, like, she just worked hard. And at a certain point, my stepdad, you know, after, like, in her teenage years, he would just come in and out, you know what I mean, and take from her, you know. And she would always be working hard, you know what I mean, like, and just trying to take care of the best she could take care of us, you know what I mean. And she was so, you know, like, amazing. But, you know, then she had this, my stepdad at the time was abusive, unhealed, you know what I mean. And so, like I shared in one of my stories, you know, just like unhealed, toxic, you know what I mean? Like, there's moments where I would see them, you know, fighting, and she'd be running out the door, and he'd be running after her, and like, just crazy, crazy stuff, you guys. And so, and I would always go with my aunt, you know what I mean? Like, and back then I was just so young. My mind was so young. I would leave my mom and get in arguments with her, and just, you know, what I was shown, you know. And so anyways, and so she went and did everything she needed to do for the custody for her kids and stuff like that, and they just messed with her and never gave him back. She got a good job, she got a place back, all this stuff like that, you know, and never gave him back, you know. And I, to this day, I remember, you know, how the child system was so horrible, you know what I mean. And so and I remember that breaking her down, you know what I mean, like, and watching her be so broken, you know. And just remember her. I remember her just being sorry. I'm not sorry for these tears. This is the whole point of this channel. I just remember her being abused and no one. I love my dad, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't mentally and financially there for her. And my stepdad wasn't there for her after younger ages, yeah, and after a while, you know, she got left, you know, after, I think I was after 10, you know, years old, and in and out of her life, and just using, you know, they both abused her, you know, and so, and you'll see what plays into who I am today. Just watch, you know, watched her struggle, you know, and in and out of shelters, and no man was there for her. That this is what they call it, counterfeits, karmics. Now I know. Give me 1 second, okay? Let me get some tissue. 1 second, okay? Okay, sorry about that. So as time goes by, you know, the kids, they get older, and I think my brothers and my sister, my other brothers and my sister with my stepdad had a grudge towards her, you know, and it really hurt me because she was the one there for these kids, and my stepdad wasn't. And my stepdad was able to have a relationship with them, and these kids didn't want, you know what I mean? Like, and and it really tore her apart, you know? And so I watched that, and so I was there for her a lot after that. I'm trying to think of when did she get to see, let's see here. Okay, so I'm trying to see. So then they got adopted, yeah. And so, and I'm trying to think if after that, but anyways, and so, yeah, so after that, I'm trying to remember for that for a while. So yeah, then I moved in, yeah, and so that was, we end up, let's see here, what was that, 18, 19. Yeah, and that pretty much summed up my teenage years. She would always move around us with us, you know what I mean? Like, and so it was me, my other brother, and my other brother with my dad. And so she would always like move with us. And so, wherever we would go, you know, and so, I remember, yeah, and then after that, that's when I went to Job Corps. That's right. I was like 18, that's when I said bye to her, and I went to, it's called Job Corps at the time. I think it was 7, that's when I left with my aunt, and then I left her and the kids. I went to, Job Corps at the time, and went to try that out, you know, as an education. And that's when 9/11 happened. I remember the buildings going over 9/11 and all of the news and everything like that. So I went there and did my little journey there, and that's when I got baptized again when I was 18 at a Pentecostal church, you know. And I think I did share that in the first video, but that's when I got baptized again in the Holy Spirit, and the Lord led me into this Pentecostal church. And I was like, you know, I remember the girl coming to me and saying, you know, Jehovah, I was a Jehovah at the time, and they were just like, you know, trying to sell me and stuff like that. And then the girl comes up from behind me from the Pentecostal church, and she's like, tells the person asking something, and I'm like, I'm new at this. I'm like really new at my walk. I'm just barely getting baptized. And she just started going scripture to the person. The person walked away. And there's something inside my spirit that, you know, I was like, you know what I mean? Like, this is the beginning, you know? And so I ended up going to her church and, you know, getting baptized there in the Pentecostal church. And yeah, I just remember they having, you know, selling goods and stuff like that, and to raise money and stuff like that. And just, I remember her too. Dang. I forgot her name. But I remember her. She was so amazing. She was like my first like Pentecostal gospel friend. You know what I mean? She had a beautiful voice. And yeah, and so that was my journey for like, I think was it 19? No, yeah. Again, just, you know, living an unhealthy life. You know, I was in generation partying, still in Job Corps, trying to go to this education, you know, and in this school, and yeah. And so after that, that's when I end up, you know, I think I was like, 19, and then I moved back to California near my dad and my mom again. But yeah, that was pretty much sums up my crazy teenage years, you know. And yeah, and then we're gonna go into my young adult years next, okay? And so thank you for hearing that. Wow, I haven't, like, since I've went through this journey, like, cried like that. And it feels good to cry, you know, and to release that pain, you know, and to do it with you guys. And so we're going to talk about too how I had to I went through the process of, you know, blaming myself, and you know what I mean, like I went through at a young age when I first started, and we'll talk about that I guess when we fast forward to 2010. But that when I started my healing journey is how I went through the process of, you know, healing that, you know what I mean, that trauma, and just, you know, not blaming myself, you know, for my mom's, you know, pain and stuff like that, and like I abandoned her when she needed me the most, you know what I mean, like. And so we'll talk about more of that when I start my, you know, when we go to the part where I start my deep healing journey. But yeah, this is just, I'm trying to give you some of the trauma and stuff that I've been through, you know, and wild young years, trauma years, you know. And so I think that's it. I'm sorry, it's like lazy. I'm like learning how to do all this and stuff, and just give you a little overview. And going forward, we'll talk about like the healing process and stuff like that. And Yeah, it's been a long time since I even brung that. Yeah, well, that's all those tears still. But thank you so much again. Again, The Life of a Generational Curse Breaker. And for coming along. Again, I get, like I said before, I think I say it before in every beginning, this is Trigger channel, because it is my healing journey and The Life of a Generational Curse Breaker. So I share my trauma and share my healing, you know, and the process I went through and to heal and from all this. And the woman I am today, you know, and so, and how I found God, and we'll talk all of that. But in the next video, we're going to talk about my young youth days, okay? But yeah, I want to say God bless you. Thank you for watching this. Watch it to the end. I love you, and thank you for your love and support. I promise you, it's going to get good, okay? So thank you again. I just keep saying thank you. And I will see you on my next video. God bless you. Bye. So I just want to add this. Job 8:7. Your beginnings will seem humble, so prosperous will your future be. Although your beginning was small, your later days will be very great. And it just reminded me, you know, that's how our minds are so young and so immature, and like, and then we're just, whatever way you were raised, you're just going by off of that, you know what I mean? This is what generational things are, you know, passed down, you know, and so this is where I feel like we make, you know, the devil attacks us, you know, our childhood, and in our earlier days, you know what I mean? And this is where we get our traumas and stuff like that. And then, depending if you're a generational curse breaker, like I am, are called to unlearn that stuff, you know? And so, and this is where he says, you know, all this stuff. And you would hope, though, most people, like, our early days are like our party days, or, yeah, you know what I mean? But, anyways, and then later you would heal and, you know, just, you know, and that's where I'm sharing my journey and stuff like that. And that's what happened in my case. Yeah, but like you said, our earlier days are like, we learn and we, you know, we're just going off of what we know, you know, our generational things, you know. And yeah, I just wanted to add that. It's just so funny, you know. But and then as our minds grow and mature, like, this is where